Recently, as I was watching a Shark Tank episode, I saw a new Segway type product made by Zoom Technologies. These are two individual units that correlate with each foot. Unfortunately, they didn't get a deal, but this made me think about what happened to Segways. There was so much hype around them a couple of years ago, but now they are nowhere to be seen, and with a quick search on Google Trends revealed the same information. Segway peaked in November of 2015, and today they only bring in 21% of that traffic. So here's what happened to Segway. First of all, Segway didn't fulfill a specific purpose or fix a specific problem. It was simply advertised as a generic alternative to walking. And to make things worse, it wasn't very good at replacing walking, as using a Segway was more of a hassle. In a lot of places, a Segway can't be used due to infrastructural issues like potholes or uneven paving. So, as a replacement for walking, Segways definitely didn't make sense. Furthermore, in certain places where Segways actually did make some sense, Segway didn't market it very well. Many companies actually gave Segway a shot. For example, the USPS tested them for letter carriers, police tested them in Chicago, and even gas companies used them. But Segway really never catered to one of these categories and convinced any of these niches why Segway was the way they should continue to go. So, in the end, they weren't solving a problem that people needed to be fixed, so many people who may have been interested were never actually reached, and a lot of people who did get it never used it on a regular basis as it served no real purpose. Moving on, another huge hindrance to Segway's growth was its price. Even today, the cheapest Segway is a 9BOT-S, which costs almost $500. Back then, Segways cost well into thousands of dollars. Considering these high prices, these just didn't make sense for the average person to pay for to get a not so good alternative to walking. A nice bike or skateboard could be had for well less than half the price of a Segway. Now, of course, there are boosted boards which are as expensive or oftentimes even more expensive than Segways, but these were much more versatile as well. You could simply pick it up and carry it if you were going to a grocery store. You can carry it in your backpack if you're traveling, but you would not have a very good experience trying to take a Segway with you. Good luck hauling around a 90 to 120 pound contraption with you. Not only were Segways expensive and impractical, but as time passed, competitors entered the market. And of course, these competitors were able to offer their products at much cheaper prices, probably because they didn't have to spend nearly as much on research and development. They also didn't have to advertise very much, as Segway had already introduced a market to this type of product. Furthermore, other companies were bringing out other business models that offered similar technology. For instance, Lime brought electric scooters to major cities for a very small riding fee of just a couple of dollars per ride. For people who didn't use these very often, this made much more sense than buying their own Segway or electric scooter. And finally, to top it all off, there were so many news articles about Segways causing injury. Whether it was the rider's fault or the device's fault, this seriously increased caution among potential buyers and lowered the chance of them actually following through with the purchase. But despite all of these fatal issues, Segway did grow in popularity. You could often go outside in big cities and see people riding Segways as if it really were an alternative to walking. The issue here, however, was that people weren't buying Segways as an alternative to walking as the company intended. Instead, people bought Segways because of the novelty of the product. Come on now, you can't argue that Segways aren't just plain cool. The technology in Segways was something that we had never witnessed before. You could simply shift your center of mass forward or back to move forward or back, and you could control the speed as well based on how much you leaned. And this innovation is what really drove sales for Segway during their second rise in 2015. People were curious to try them out for themselves, and countless videos on YouTube using Segways just led to even more curiosity. However, eventually, you or someone you know probably gave into this curiosity and got a Segway, and you got a chance to try it. It was probably fun as you got a hang of it for the first time. If you bought it, you might have taken it with you as you traveled through the city or show your friends. But sooner or later, the novelty wears out, and this is where practicality should kick in. But the problem is that there is not much practicality. It's heavy, expensive, and only works on smooth platforms. And that was the problem. Segway was able to garner traction using their intriguing technology, but as they never solved a niche problem for any group of people, as the novelty died out, so did Segway. If they had really pursued one field like mall security or the USPS and really made a positive impact on the efficiency of the people working these jobs, Segway may have had a chance. However, targeting general people was simply unsustainable as a clear issue was not being solved for them, and this led to their eventual demise. But that's just what I think. Did you guys get a Segway? If so, what do you think about it? Make sure to comment that down below. Also, if you guys like this video, then make sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more questions like this one answered logically. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.